There's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree.
What's going on, guys? Let's talk about these three amigos for a second. That's not my term. That's something I learned when I was teaching back at the unit. These three amigos and what they're supposed to do versus what they really do. So a long time ago, they used to teach that you should just really crank down on that gun, right? Like just really gorilla grip that gun. And I think some of the reasons why they were teaching that is because they wanted you to have control of that gun. They wanted you to apply like a good backstop for that gun so you're not limp wristing it, causing stovepipes and stuff like that. And I think they just didn't know what they didn't know. But as time has moved forward and we have evolved in our shooting and we have applied more science into our shooting and more of the analytical breakdown of anatomy and all that stuff, then we've come to learn that gorilla gripping your pistol grip is not really the right answer. In fact, these three amigos, they can hurt you more than they can help you if you're not paying attention, if that's something that you're not focused on. So these three amigos, as they apply to a pistol, what is their job? Their job is really just to apply control, right? Just grip that gun and apply control. But how much grip do you need? Like, should I just be cranking down on these so hard that I lose the blood out of my fingers and I can see the white? Or is it just enough so that the gun's not falling out of my hand? That's not something I can tell you. I can tell you for myself that if I'm shooting one-handed, I'm applying a little more control on the pistol with these three fingers, so that, because again, it's just one hand and I need to control that gun, plus align my sights, plus pull the trigger. But if I'm coming in two hands on this gun, then this hand is a lot more relaxed. This hand's doing a lot more work as far as like clamping down, applying pressure, all that good stuff, downward torque and all that. So that's what this hand is doing. It's living up to its name as a support hand, right? And this hand is a lot more relaxed. A lot of you guys that have not taken classes from a credible instructor who's talked about grip and all that, you tend to naturally want to overgrip on your pistol grips. You just want to grip like the pistol grip. You think, well, I'm grabbing it, so I might as well grab it hard. Okay, yes, but also no, because there's a such thing as grabbing too hard. If you talk to professional baseball players, professional golfers, not one of them is going to tell you that when they're swinging that golf club or swinging that bat, they have 100% grip on that thing as they're swinging. It's just not natural to tense up that much, right? Because if you're squeezing that much, then every muscle and tendon in that hand, plus the wrist, maybe even the forearm, is tensed up. And so how can you get a nice, good swing on that bat or on that golf club if everything's tensed up? So if you talk to them, they're going to tell you that one hand has more pressure, the other one has less pressure on that grip, and so on and so forth. And it works the same way with the pistol. If you're shooting two-handed, this hand, your shooting hand, needs to be a little more relaxed and less pressure, or less grip pressure, that is. And then this hand that's not really doing anything but kind of clamping down that entire platform needs to apply most of that pressure and plus some of that downward torque if that's what you do. Again, when you tense your entire hand up, there's a couple of things that happen, right? When we're sitting here gorilla gripping this pistol, what happens is we're over gripping. So if you guys are like, for you righties, if you're shooting left, if your grouping is left, or if your grouping is low left, and you're wondering why that's happening, it's because you are over gripping that gun. In fact, in my last video where I kind of showcased that E-Flex, my little accuracy test that I did from 5-15-25 showed overgrip. Well, after 4 months of not shooting, that's naturally going to happen. But me knowing better, I know what to work on and what to focus on to get rid of that overgrip as I get back on the range more and more. You guys need to do the same thing. Well, the other thing that it's doing is that if your entire hand is tensed up, then there's no way that your shooting finger can relax. There's just no way. You can physically tense up the rest of your hand, but you can't physically just keep the index finger relaxed while the rest of your hand is tensed up. There's a thing called muscle and tendon sympathy. Look it up. It's science, right? And so if you want faster split times, if you want to mitigate trigger finger freeze, if you want to mitigate overgrip, then these are things that you need to work on right now, is relaxing your three amigos in your hand on that pistol grip, and over time it will come. Otherwise, if you don't focus on it now and get a kind of ahead of that power curve, then you're eventually going to get there, but it's going to take you way longer, because as you naturally progress as a shooter and you become more experienced, you have more rounds down range and all that, and more training, you'll learn it eventually. But here I am trying to give it to you now, as most credible instructors try to give it to you early, to apply this, this principle of kind of relaxing that shooting hand and coming in more with that support hand and gripping more. So one kind of condition that I teach, again, I'm not taking credit for it, came from my time in group, but like one thing that we teach our shooters as to a conditioning technique as to how to relax this shooting hand is when you come in, let me just try to get here. When you come in and you get that master grip, throw that pinky out just like I'm doing now, if you guys can see that, and keep that pinky relaxed, okay? So then you're gonna go and take your shots, but if you've noticed that your pinky has contracted by the end of your shots, then you know that's a kind of a sign that you're probably over gripping a little bit. But if you're coming in and your pinky is nice and relaxed at the end of your shot or your course of fire, then that means that, okay, you're doing a good job of relaxing that. Again, I'm not telling you to shoot this way for the rest of your life, but this is a good way to kind of relax your hand. When you throw that pinky out and you relax it, you'll naturally feel a release of your tendons and muscles in this hand and naturally just relax. And again, that's why we call it a conditioning technique, because it's not meant for you to shoot like that permanently, but over time it will naturally just kind of relax your hand and teach your hand how to relax when it gets back on that pistol grip. And you may have to kind of redo that for some of your different guns and stuff, and you may even have to do that for your rifle, but it is a really good conditioning technique and it works. And then there's a drill that I like to show you guys today that kind of help us apply what we're talking about, right? And if you've never done this trigger isolation drill, it's kind of weird. Like the first time you do this, you're like, oh crap, like this gun feels like it's about to fall out of my hand. But the more you do it, the more you get used to it and the more it kind of relaxes these hands. Now, again, I'm not saying to shoot like this every time, but if this is a drill that you integrate into your training, then it's gonna benefit you after a while. So this little demonstration I'm gonna give you guys is basically me shooting, where's my ear pro? It's basically me shooting that 25 meter target. I'm gonna go for the A zone from 25 meters, right here in front of you guys, 25 meters. And I'm gonna do it with just using my trigger finger and my thumb to stabilize the gun. I'll be taking these 3 fingers off of it completely. Again, just so you guys can see. I'm shooting the Beretta 92X today, guys. So of course I'm gonna go to single action on this guy. I'm not gonna shoot a double action but this is how it's gonna look. When I get behind this gun, it's gonna look something like this, okay? You may not see it when I actually start shooting, so I'm showing it to you now, but that's what it's gonna look like. I have enough finger on that trigger where I can control that trigger and I'm not canting it one way or another, but I also have the rest of my fingers nice and relaxed. They may not look relaxed, but I can tell you that they're kind of relaxed, except for this guy. I jammed him too many times, so he just likes to lock out. But anyway, so you wanna keep them nice and relaxed, and then where the rest of your grip is coming from is really just my thumb kind of under that beaver tail, hooking it or whatever. And that's where I get my grip from. So I have control of the gun, and plus everything else looks good. So, all right, let me get to somewhere where you guys can see the target. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go ahead and put this on single action, and then I'll put my trigger, or my finger on the trigger. Once I have my finger on the trigger and I feel relaxed, I'll go ahead and slowly take my 3 amigos off. And at this point, I'm gonna take 6 well-aimed shots on the A zone, and I'm just gonna take my time. There's no reason to rush this. That's not the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise is to be able to do this slow fire drill while keeping your fingers relaxed over here. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one felt really low. I'll take one more. Okay. I feel like I dipped the optic at the very end there. But let's go take a look at this grouping. Like that one was like so low, I felt like it was almost off paper, or it was off paper. Yeah, there's definitely one that was really low, but let me put this. All right, So there was the one that I kind of I dipped the optic big time right before. But here's my other 6 shots out of the 7. Really good grouping, I'd say. So kind of proves to you that you don't need these 3 fingers for accuracy. You don't need these 3 fingers for shooting. All you really need to shoot well, or I should say, all you really need for accuracy is a good sight alignment sight picture for a red dot and good trigger control, meaning that you are able to pull that trigger clean back to the rear without disrupting your sights or your optic. And then after that, it's just kind of working on this, whether it's dry fire, whether it's a couple times on the range or whatever, and you're slowly through this drill, but also through that kind of, sticking that pinky out, that conditioning technique, you're going to loosen up your shooting hand, and that's going to translate to bringing your shots back center for you overgrippers, increasing your split times, meaning decreasing your split times is what I should say, but increasing the fast twitch on your finger, because now your hand is more relaxed, meaning, and that also implies that your trigger finger is more relaxed, so just faster split times. You're not going to get that trigger finger freeze. So there's a lot of benefit to relaxing this hand, guys, and hopefully this demonstration, 6 shots in the A zone from 25 meters with just my trigger finger, helps you understand that this can be done. You just need to work on it, dry fire and some live fire. All right, cheers, guys.